Now, when you're out there trying to find something to resell, there's some steps, some things you always have to do regardless before you invest even a single solitary dime into merchandise. Hey, it's Don. Today I wanted to talk about some of the insider steps, things you need to know before you go out there trying to buy stuff to resell. There's some simpleton stuff, very obviously, like using your cell phone to look up items. I personally won't buy a single solitary thing if I don't know what it is ahead of time. Assuredly no, not just, hey, I think so. I know for sure, or I haven't looked through the lot, looked through the items to make sure that there's value there. One of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of people make is that they'll just buy stuff because the price looks too good. So they'll think, it's such a good deal, there's no way I can miss out on it. And what I've seen happen time and time again, including stuff that we used to do years back, we'd buy it, we'd take it home, and it would take us just a horrendous amount of time looking through it, trying to get the value out. When we figured out the amount of time and energy we had invested into it, it really wasn't worth our time. The amount that something costs shouldn't dictate whether you buy it or don't buy it if you're not sure. You shouldn't just buy something based on the purchase price. You've got to have a little more knowledge on it besides that. Now, too, with, say, using your phone out there when you're out there trying to source, if I can't find it on my phone, on anywhere, again, I've got many different places saved on my phone, not just eBay. I look up stuff on the Amazon app. I've got HIP. I've got, Etsy's on my phone. I've got some other data-driven sites on my phone. I've got a few apps. There are some specific sites that I use just for pricing while I am out. So having a phone as a Rolodex of information is one of the biggest things you can have these days. Back when I started reselling, there wasn't the option of a phone. You had to know the stuff or take a chance. And, that's when people were just throwing money out there hoping they could get something out of it. Long, long time ago, it seems, these days. But those are things you always have to think about. Now, even, too, when you're out there using your phone, don't always take the information that you're looking at for granted. If you're looking at eBay, but you're not looking through sold listings, only sold listings, specifics like that, you could, again, make a mistake. Don't ever consider current ones up unless you're trying to figure out a sell-through rate for the items you're looking to buy. I would never, ever just judge it by the sales. Even if you see a dozen that have sold, if you don't go and look at the active listings, you might run into the fact that there might be 1,000 of them up and only a couple dozen sold in a year's worth of time. If you're looking at Terapeak, it's a year's worth of sales. A dozen selling versus a couple thousand up is not something that I would probably play with. I would probably walk by them. In some cases, too, when you're out there going to buy stuff, and this happened a lot with us with clothing. Well, not a lot, but it happened quite often. And not just us, but pretty much everybody we know. When you're looking at some piece of clothing or something, you might not check like an armpit, or you might miss a threading section that's coming undone. I know you could technically stitch it up, but I never liked to do any stitching or anything else like that in clothing. I wanted it to be in good condition. End of story. If it wasn't, I usually didn't buy it. But we always inevitably missed a couple here, missed a couple there, where there was some stitching or a tiny spot or something that kind of deemed it where I didn't want to sell it anymore. It would be like a bulk item from that point on. So every time you do that, that all adds up in lost revenue. You're investing something, and you're going to have to dump it off or not even sell it at all. So make sure that whatever you're looking at to buy is A1 top-notch quality. The second stuff, the damaged, the not so great looking ones, unless it's something super, super, super rare, I'm not going to mess with it. Don't just buy it because it's in front of you. If you buy it and it's got some issues and there's 1,000 or even 100 up of the same item that have nothing wrong with it, again, you're going to be sitting there holding on to it forever. You're going to have money tied up into those items, especially if it's a common item. If you're selling one-offs, niche items, and things like that, that's a little bit of a different story because you may have the only one of something up at any given time. It will just take the right person. But if it's an item in a category you're looking to purchase and it's something that's common, like a specific shirt, a type of tennis shoes, or a glass, or ceramics of some sort, you got to be very, very selective on the quality of the item that you buy. If it's $20 or $30 in mint condition, yours isn't so great, and there's 100 or 2 up and only a few sell of those, again, it wouldn't be worth your time. You've got to understand how much time it's going to take you to get whatever you buy listed. Now, we buy a lot of bulk, but we look at the bulk very specifically. We already determined what we would do with it before we shell out the money. Can I bulk some stuff up and sell them quickly that way to recoup my money? Are there enough high value items in there that I can sell them individually without any issue? Is there enough possibility that I'll get my money back very quickly, like the first day I list some stuff, because the items are that good? Those are, again, things that I will look at. I pass on things all the time that there's still some good potential, but, you know, there's so many choices out there when we're going to buy something that I don't mind passing up stuff to get the easier, the simpler stuff, the less returnable stuff, the stuff that's going to make us some profit immediately. If I have to shell out, say, $500 on something and it's iffy on how quickly my money will come back out of it, I may not be so prone to buy it either. The bottom line is you've got to think about your ROI when you're buying something. There isn't a day goes by where I'm out looking at something or someone's showing me, hey, this is for sale, or you interested, where I'm not looking at the bottom end here. I'm not looking at, hey, that's a cool item these days. I'm more looking at the aspect of how much money am I going to have to shell out to get set amount back? How much time is it going to take me to acquire that item, list it, put it up and all that stuff, store it, then ship it as well, versus how much profit I'm going to make off of it. My time is worth something. And no matter what you do, if you're not paying attention to the time you'll have invested in stuff, you're going to end up purchasing things that will just end up wasting a lot of your time for a small amount of return. Like us, if we're going to buy a big, huge lot of something, if the majority of the items are going to be $2 items, I'm not going to be listing $2 items. I never list anything for less than $9.99, bare bones minimum, and we really shoot for at least $15 to $17.50 these days. We keep inching it up a little bit as things change, the economy changes. It's more practical for us. Now, that doesn't mean I don't have some cheaper items. Again, we've changed throughout this time, but it's not practical to say list items that you can only get, say, 15 up in an hour that are only going to get you $2 back on them profit. That's only $30 for that hour. I would far rather list something that's at least $5, if not definitely $10 as well. So if I can list 15 items at $10, that's $150 worth of merchandise you are getting up at any given time. You should look at those numbers. Again, it doesn't matter whether you're only able to get $50 up or $60 or $100 up in an hour. Go for the bigger numbers. You want to get the bigger bang for your buck. You don't want to be listing stuff that's just not going to increase and keep increasing the amount you've got coming in. If it's a $2 item, chances are you'd be far better lumping those up into a lot and selling them that way. You could possibly even get more than those $2 if you sell it as a lot. We would seed the lot with something a little better in there and use that to draw people in hopes that it will sell for a decent amount. One good item in a lot of $2 items will make that lot sell better. You market it with the high dollar item, hence it goes. It's a perceived value. It's a marketing step. You can create lots any way you want. So there's nothing wrong with seeding or placing a better item in a lot to get the sales out of it. Again, though, I don't buy things until I've got all of those little steps in mind. I used to buy things that were heavy or things that I didn't think about. How am I going to ship that ahead of time? It was just such a good deal, I thought, by the price of it, that when I went to shell out the money, I just bought it. I get it home and I'm thinking, oh man, where am I going to store it? How I'm going to wrap it up. They're bigger items and all sorts of different things. Glassware, it's another item that we used to mess with very heavily. Storage-wise, they can get damaged in storage as well. So these are all things you've got to think about through the entire process of you acquiring something all the way through its shipping. Return rates and things like that. I know I've said this many, many times before, but if you're going to buy something, just run through in your head the pros and cons of whatever you're looking at. Is it going to be quick to ship? Is it easy to store? Is it easy to list? How many of them can you get up within an hour time frame? So if you're buying a massive amount of items and it's going to take you months to get them up because of how much time you have to invest into it, it's probably, again, not worth your time. So consider all those basic facts on it. Is it something that needs to be tested? Even if you've got 100 of them, if they all have to be tested and all these other issues, again, those can be problems. Even with clothing, if you're looking at lots of clothing out there, if you're not going to look through every piece of clothing, you could miss some. There might be a 10% defect rate in a big lot. If I'm going to buy a lot of records or cards or comics or toys, I'm looking through enough of the lot so that I know I'll be able to get my money out of it and make a set amount of profit. If the lot costs $200, I've got to invest my time. Probably I got to make back $600 to make a profit where it's worth my time investing into the lot. Time spent on something that's not going to make you very much money is time lost on something that will make you some good money. So you've got to always weigh your options. If you watch some of my sourcing videos, some of the videos where I'm outsourcing stuff, I pass up on a lot of stuff. Just because, again, all of these little factors, the pros and cons are running through my head before I buy anything. If I'm out at the mall and I'm looking to buy something, another pro or con would be I have to carry it around the mall or run out to the car and then come back in. That may be a distracting factor as well. Time comes into play also with all of those. The money, the cost of something isn't always the factor in why I buy something. So don't just jump on something because of the cost of it, because it's too good to be true or so cheap that there's no way you can lose. Again, if it's going to take you a very long time to list even a few of the items or to research them, again, if you are going to take forever to research them, the researching can blow up more time than even shipping or storage or anything else like that. So these are thoughts you should always be doing when you're out there looking at stuff to buy. If you're not running over the where, what, how, why, and whens of all the items you're going to purchase, again, you're going to be wasting time and money left and right. But anyway, I hope that gives you some thoughts, some ideas on this. It's key that you take all of these steps in there with always thinking about the number one most important aspect on that is your ROI. Your time invested in something is part of that ROI. So if you're blowing too much time on items that just aren't that good, you're going to be killing your ROI. And not just for that item, but for other items you're missing because you were wasting too much time on the low-valued items. So anyway, that's what I have for you today. Hopefully that gave you some ideas, some thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified if I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell all your friends.
You know, I'm never gonna swing this. That little hand of hers is bound to sneak over here for some of my candy. It'd be more of a drag, though, if this was just one bar, but I'm enjoying it's 2 pieces. I know that hand's coming over any minute, man. Whatever happens, I still get a whole thing of chocolate coconut and almonds to myself. Enjoy it, baby.
Peter Paul Almond Joy. You can share half and still have a whole.